I scoured YouTube for days watching hours of upshot tips from pros so you don't have to. And here's what I learned. There are 8 basic tips that will help anyone improve dramatically once put into place. The first tip you want to focus on is assessing your lie. You want to make sure there is nothing in the way of your run-up for you to trip over or step on to throw off your shot.
Just runs it in. Wow, Paul just is that even okay to do?
If your disc landed on a big hill and your run-up is going to be out of the ordinary, make sure you do some practice steps to make you feel more comfortable before throwing. Simply taking a few extra seconds to assess where your feet are going to end up and get a comfortable run-up will keep things fluid and consistent. The second thing that was stressed is your disc selection. When choosing the perfect disc for your upshot, you're typically going to want to pick something stable that will hold a hyzer line and be very predictable for you. You want to make sure that you can throw a very consistent shot every time and you know exactly what that disc is going to do when it comes out of your hand. You also usually are going to want to pick a slower speed disc like a putter or mid-range because these discs will have much less ground play. If you throw a high-speed driver, it is typically going to want to have a big skip once it hits the ground, and it is really unpredictable where your disc will end up. While the slower speed discs tend to stick to the ground quite a bit better and will have more of a sliding effect. The third most important thing is going to be assessing the wind and distance. If you know the hole is 500 feet and you threw about a 300-foot drive, now you know that you have roughly a 200-foot upshot left. So now you have to start thinking about the wind. In any tailwind situations, this is going to want to propel the disc forward. So now your 200-foot shot is going to play more like a 175-foot shot. In any headwind situations, this is going to be pushing against your disc, and now your 200-foot shot is going to play more like a 225-foot shot. In any headwind, you're going to want to put the nose of the disc slightly up to make sure the wind doesn't smash down on the disc. And in any tailwind, you want to keep the nose down on the disc so you don't overthrow it or allow the air to get under your disc and carry it in the wrong direction. Next, you're going to need to pay attention to what you're landing on. There are plenty of different kinds of greens underneath the basket, and you need to be aware of what kind of green you are trying to throw your upshot onto. If it is taller grass, the disc will stick to the grass more, and you won't have as much ground play as short grass would. If the basket is surrounded by dirt, the disc is going to be a lot more likely to have big skips and rolls. Once you know what you're landing on, you need to aim for a landing zone, not the basket. Picture a giant 40-foot ring around the basket, and this is called a landing zone. By aiming for this circle instead of the basket, you are guaranteeing yourself at worst a 20-foot putt. So don't aim at the basket. Throw where you can comfortably reach and make a putt from. This is setting yourself up for the best case scenario instead of potentially overthrowing the basket or having a big skip that pushes you out of the circle.
Air balls, and he's got to putt again. Waste no time doing that, and the result exactly the same.
Now that you can see the landing zone, you need to cut your pullback in half on your windup.
The only thing which is different with a approach or upshot instead of just a normal drive is that you have to cut it in half.
The distance?
No,
you mean?
the actual pull. When I was young, I was thinking about how can I make an approach shot easy and have some reference points, so I can actually do it over and over again. Open up your hip and then doing the half pullback. Then you just pull your body a little bit back like this, and your shoulders should move like a little bit round, but then shouldn't be too far back, because then you have to turn your head.
The next big tip the pros give is make sure you're lining up properly. You're going to want to point your shoulders in the direction you want the disc to go, creating a straight line with the basket to allow you to always line up in the same position and create a consistent form. You can also make subtle changes in your feet to throw different angles as well.
You want to keep it simple, and you want to keep it controlled to be consistent in the long run throwing upshots. So what I mean by that is if I'm throwing a hyzer, I'm going to keep my shoulders pointed to where I'm throwing. So I'm never gonna go like this and try and throw across my body and throw a hyzer like this. And so it doesn't matter whether you're throwing sidearm. If I'm throwing sidearm, trying to go around this, I'm gonna always line my shoulders up that same way. So it doesn't matter whether you're throwing sidearm, backhand. If I'm lying, so this would be a hyzer. And a lot of people you see run up, they run up straight and they try to throw across their body, and it's just uncontrollable releases. Sometimes you release here, sometimes you're there. Here, you always know where you're gonna release. I'm always gonna, my shoulders are pointed where I'm going, and that's where the disc is going. So that's for a hyzer. Straight shot would be, obviously, if I'm aiming, right at this basket, I'm using an example. My shoulders are pointed right at the basket. I'm doing my same swing and just lining up and doing, and like I said, most of the time upshots, you're just standing still.
And the final tip is going to be practice. You need to be out throwing hundreds of shots, dialing in and perfecting a unique form that can be replicated every time. Practicing throwing upshots is the best tip on this list. Going out and throwing as many approach shots as you can every day will help accelerate your progress faster than doing anything else. Learning what the discs will do will only come by throwing them. So get out there and get to work.